Joining me now to talk more about the bridge and the anniversary, a man who has been high atop the Verrazzano, climbing it on 6 different occasions. I'd like to welcome Dave Frieder to the show. Dave, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, so a lot of cool stuff to talk about. You know, unfortunately, I feel like the Verrazzano Bridge today is really known for the $15 toll. However, for people that photograph bridges and are amazed by them, like yourself, there's a lot more to it.
Oh yes, much more. Verrazzano is an engineering marvel for its time. It's, of course, the longest suspension bridge in the United States. A bridge is measured by its main span, which is 4,260 feet. It's an incredible piece of artwork, too, and this was the last bridge designed and built by Othmar Ammann, who built a lot of other New York City bridges.
So what is it about the Verrazzano that led you to be so interested in it and to photograph it as much as you have?
Well, Verrazzano, of course, is one of the many suspension and all of bridges around New York City. There's cantilever bridges like Queensboro, there's the Hell Gate, which is an arch bridge, but the Verrazzano was kind of special because, again, it was the last bridge built by the master builder himself, Othmar Ammann, and just the look of it, the power of it, it was just so overwhelming. The size is just unbelievable, and it's just an experience just to walk up the cables, climb the steelwork, be at the top, looking at Staten Island from the Brooklyn side, looking at Brooklyn from the Staten Island Tower. It's just a feeling that you can't get unless you're really there.
When you talk about the size and the power, you brought something pretty cool here, and this is pretty heavy. I mean, people
Yes.
at home aren't going to be able to tell, but tell us what this is.
Okay, that is an actual piece of suspender rope from the Verrazzano Bridge.
A very little piece, and I could barely pick it up with one hand.
They are quite long. This piece of rope here, this is actually wire rope. It has 199 wires. This was actually made by John Roebling's sons. At the time of the building of the bridge, American Bridge, who won the contract for the Staten Island Tower and for building the main cables, they couldn't come up with enough steel in time, so they subcontracted John Roebling's sons to build an additional 25% of the wires inside the main cables and build the suspender ropes.
You also brought something cool for me to see. This is actually the program from August 13th, 1959, which is the day that I'm assuming that the Port Authority held its grand opening of the bridge, and this is what they handed out?
Well, this is originally the bridge was a joint effort when they first started by the Port Authority and the TBTA, Tri-Rivers Bridge and Tunnel Authority. Later years, then the Verrazzano was then fully taken over by the TBTA. The Port Authority then dropped out because the TBTA at the time could not afford the enormous cost of the bridge, which is $305 million. Now, this is the groundbreaking ceremonies for the bridge.
This was the groundbreaking ceremony for the bridge.
Yes, this is when it was first, the ground was broken for the initial construction.
And if you look inside, they really went all out, and they handed out in this folder a bunch of different interesting statistics about the bridge, and there's pictures of it, and then there's even a ticket for a buffet lunch.
Yes, and there's pictures of course, the master himself, which was Robert
Where
Moses.
did you get this? Because you weren't actually there.
Oh, no, I was 11 years old. I was actually younger then. That opened when I was 11, but I got most of my stuff on eBay. This I got from a contractor. This piece of wire, mind you, this came from the Throg's Neck, but this is the same type of wire that makes the 3-foot diameter cables on the bridge. Each 3-foot cable contains 26,108 wires. They're built in...
And you have that memorized.
I have every fact about every bridge locked in memory.
All right, so obviously you're obsessed in a way with bridges, and when we speak specifically about the Verrazzano, you've climbed several of the bridges before 9/11 when this was actually legal?
Yes, I've climbed and photographed every major bridge in New York City.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the pictures that you've provided with us. I mean, here's a picture of you high atop the Verrazzano.
That's on the Brooklyn side. I'm on cable... I think that's cable C. The cables are listed from south to north, A, B, C, and D. That's cable C.
And what's it like up there?
It's exhilarating. It's interesting. You're also attacked by peregrine falcons, which is interesting too. I usually just wave my hands in the air to thwart them off.
Here's what, looking down right on the road.
I'm at the first cable band that comes off the tower, looking straight down, and that shadow you see on the face of the tower, that's only can be obtained November, December because of the angle of the sun. This, I'm on the roadway. The roadway was closed for 5 hours one day, so the manager called me and said, Dave, why don't you come over and photograph on the roadway? I had the whole roadway to myself, so I'm just looking straight up from the Brooklyn Tower.
Oh, okay, that's looking up.
Straight up.
Okay.
Here I walk down about halfway down the main cable, and there's a platform that goes across the two cables. They're 9 feet center to center, so I decided to just go a little below the hand ropes and just get this view looking up at the tower.
When you're actually up there, you say you're attacked by falcons?
At the top, there's peregrine falcon nests,
Yeah.
and the peregrines are very territorial, so they'll come dive bombing you. And a lot of the people from the EPA who ban the babies, they will wear motorcycle helmets to protect their ears from getting clipped.
Huh. What do you take away now that the bridge is 50 years old, and how it's really changed Staten Island? Because as we saw in Amanda's piece, I mean, before the Verrazzano was built, the only real way to get across into New York City was by ferry.
Correct.
And now all of a sudden, especially when we look back at some of the old pictures, you see Staten Island almost deserted. There, you know, there was no construction, there were no homes, there weren't many businesses, and that bridge really changed everything.
Oh, it did. It's the same thing with GWB. Before the GWB, most of Fort Lee area in New Jersey was basically desolate, and the bridge allowed people to easily cross from New York City to and from New Jersey, New York, and the same thing with Staten Island and the borough of Brooklyn.
And we have some pictures that we're showing now of the actual bridge. Was this when it was under construction?
No, this is actually back in '99, I believe.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm on the Brooklyn Tower. You can see the Belt Parkway, and that's the approach for the Brooklyn side.
So when you talk about climbing these bridges, you climb them to photograph?
To photograph them. I'm working on an eventual coffee table book, a black and white coffee table book on New York's bridges. So I see these as giant sculptures, giant works of art, and also their purpose is to create avenues for people to get to and from different communities. It brings people together. So I'm putting this all in a book that's going to be strictly visual.
When you do climb these bridges, I mean, have you done it lately, or is that something that was, you know, when you were younger?
I actually did gymnastics for 20 years when I was younger, and that trained me to climb the bridges. I started this in '93, and of course after 9/11 it brought everything pretty much to a grinding
Can we
halt.
go back to that picture that we just showed, because I would love to be able to talk about that. That is an awesome picture.
Yes, that is one of the roadway sections. They're raising it onto the suspenders. The suspenders here would have a socket attached to it, and that's hooked onto the suspender. That roadway section weighs 400 tons. When they built the bridge, the main cables, the drape dropped 27 feet because of the weight of the deck.
I mean, and this is, I mean, obviously it's only half of the bridge. Or,
That's only part of it. That's just
Yeah.
the roadway section. Again, that one section weighs 400 tons. The weight is unbelievable. People don't realize how much this thing weighs.
when you see the bridge actually under construction, I mean, how safe are these bridges?
Today, the bridges in New York are very safe. They're almost all of them are totally overbuilt in a way, and they're all rebuilt, like Manhattan Bridge, Williamsburg, Brooklyn, Queensboro. They're in excellent condition at this point. They're doing some work on approaches and whatnot, but the bridges are well over designed for their purpose in mind.
Do you think the common person appreciates the engineering marvels that they are? I mean, when you start talking about the statistics and about the construction and how they're actually put together, I mean, a lot of people just drive over the bridge because it's how they get to and from work.
Yes, a lot of people don't hear about it because they have to pay these exorbitant tolls, so they don't care about what the bridge is. Some people do appreciate civil engineering, and they do appreciate what's involved in building a bridge, suspension bridge, cantilever, even the new Tappan Zee, which is going up soon. That'll be completed in 2018.
So what is on your agenda now going forward, and what can we expect to see from you?
Okay, I'm almost done printing on all the photographs I need for this eventual coffee table book. I still work with film. I don't care for digital. It doesn't convey what I see and feel in terms of taking an image and creating what I visually saw at the time. So I believe, hopefully, once I get a publisher, this book might be out in a year or two.
Okay.
And this is it'll be 22 years in the making.
Wow. All right. Well, definitely some interesting stuff. And if people would like more information about you, I know you have your own website.
Yes, it's www.davefrieder.com, F-R-I-E-D-E-R.
And what can they find on there?
You can see all the photographs I've taken of all the New York bridges, including I've also climbed and photographed the Armstrong FM Tower and the Coney Island parachute jump.
Okay. Dave, interesting stuff.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. It is time for a break. We're back with our Staten Islander of the Week. That's after this.